Hello everyone, and welcome to my Project Silverfish contract guide for version 0.3.8. In this guide, I'm going to be covering the default contracts for the loners, freelancers, and revolutionaries, but I won't be touching the insurrectionists, the military, or the cultists just yet. I'll save them for a different guide since their content is mostly unfinished. Also, I'm not going to touch the quick play missions here just yet. I'll save that for a separate guide because that's going to be a little bit more niche. I'm going to start off with showing the different locations for NPCs so you'll know who to turn quests into and who to get them from. But if there's any particular contract that you're looking for, check the timestamps below. Let's get started. Oh, and a quick disclaimer, there's going to be spoilers. Simmi is a freelancer contractor located at the observatory. They're going to be just to the east of the river dock, the first location that you run into if you are on a default run, or south of the Crossroads. Just inside this large observatory building here. And when you talk to them for the first time, they'll have a little rookie introduction dialogue. You can talk to them about work to get freelancer contracts. And there are a few static trades that they have. And then some lore dialogue. Behind them would be a stash and a bed. And a crafting table. And then there is also going to be a global bounty board. You can find Dr. Mosby by heading to the floodplains, which would be to the west of Crossroads or south of Depot. Head across the river here into RG West Lab. That's the building that looks like this here. Down to the east would be RG East. Do not go in through that way. Once you're inside, it would be revolutionary territory, so there are revolutionary stalkers. And here is Dr. Mosby. They'll offer revolution contracts and some freelancer contracts. And they will also buy different kinds of parts and samples off of you. And then further down would be the requisitions. They'll offer some healing, some ammo, and more importantly, medicine. And then the bounty board. For the broker, you're going to want to head to the Black Lake, which would be northeast of Crossroads, and then go past this bridge, past the town of Haldi, all the way to the west, and go north to the dock here. You can just hop on down on these little containers here, and inside Dock A, in the office would be the black market. There's a few guards and freelancers you can trade with, as well as the armory and a shop. But what we're concerned with here would be the bounty board that you can get neutral contracts from, and broker that you can do freelancer contracts with. Mama Roach is going to be located just north of Metropole, which would be to the west of the South Lake and Crossroads. And it's going to be this icon here, the Burrow. Once you cross the bridge into the Burrow, just head towards the end and inside this little complex here. The first thing that we are going to look for is this bounty board. Here we can turn in or accept neutral contracts. And then up the stairs And all the way at the end of the headquarters will be Mama Roach. She will offer and allow you to redeem revolution contracts. And inside this computer room here would be a computer board. To get to Magpie, we're going to be looking for the Lone Wolf Saloon in the slums. Easiest way to reach it would be just going west of Depot. Just follow this railroad here all the way into the transition to slums. And once you're here, there's actually a pretty quick and easy way to get into the slum, or sorry, the saloon from the rooftops. Just all the way from the roof, hop down, and we're at Lone Wolf Saloon. Now, this place is rather interesting because it has Revolution, Freelancer, Loner, and Insurrection Stalkers that you can trade with, as well as a trading post that has overpriced weapons and ammo, a neutral job board, and then Magpie right here, where you can sell gold to, buy a room, buy a drink, and talk about work. We can find this strange shop if we go northeast of Crossroads towards the M35 northeast area of the map and go towards this little intersection here. We're going to look for this building, and just behind it is a very well hidden, very advertised secret shop. Now here we have a bounty board for generic contracts as well as the strange shopkeeper themselves. This is a very important NPC to find because we want to grab this commander contract before we do fan the flames. Aside from that, there's just a few miscellaneous contracts like Molasses or Eye for an Eye. And some unique items. If you're ever in the need for a disguise, this is also a really good place to try to find some. They'll usually sell Insurrection, Revolution, Freelancer outfits and helmets. So if you're missing a piece for a disguise, check this place out. Big Iron is going to be located at the very end of South Bend, at this little icon right here. So if we're going east from the Goldwood Forest on this railroad, we're going to find this path right here and take it south and go all around until we reach this road. This is the path that I will usually take when coming from Crossroads. Basically all the way southeast on the map. Just turn the right here. And this little building that says Trading Post, Ammo, Ammunition Supply. That's going to be Big Iron's room. Now here, the unique thing about Big Iron is that he is the gunsmith, and he allows you to turn in a base weapon as well as a toolkit and plenty of money, and exchange that for an upgraded gun. This is kind of the game's version of modular weapons, basically turning a base gun into a custom variant. If you have been playing on the last patch, You may notice that all of the weapons here are more expensive than they were before, because the game did go through a pretty major balance pass. As far as contracts, just ask him about work, and he will basically have the same jobs that the bounty board has, but he is a relevant NPC for turning quests into. We're going to start off with Broken Wrench from Simmi. Just find a replacement wrench for Simmi. Now, the area that I like to do this in is going to be Crossroads, because it is just right off of Observatory here, and it has a static spawn for a wrench, which makes it nice and easy for us. I'm going to just run ahead here and kind of skip everything else. The place that we need to go to is the little warehouse. And we're going to just ignore that guy. Luckily, there's a couple of ways for us to get inside. You could go straight up the ladder here, or a ladder on the opposite side of the warehouse. But I'll show you another path. One that's nice and easy. Little key right here. And that should let us go right into the office. We're going to try not to alert anyone else. Little drink, just in case we start to turn insane. And the key that we grabbed opens the store right here. Now, if you decide to go up the ladder that's on that side here or on the other side there, you can actually get inside through the little plank that goes through the broken glass and then drop down the little balcony there. This is just a nice little area for us to loot, and our wrench spawns right here. Crafting table. And always check these just in case there's something worth finding. But we get nothing. Now, for Signal Jammer Crossroads, we need to find and disable the Signal Jammer in Crossroads. Easy enough. It says it should be somewhere near the scrap depot in Crossroads. That's going to be this little area to the east here, at this little intersection. If we go north from the observatory start, usually in this little warehouse section. See the scrap depot sign. Now, the one that we got is right up here. This one seems to be the most common. And if we get up a little higher, we should be able to just shoot it. There we go. It could also spawn for you up here. Or on top of this little tank up here. And it can also spawn all the way up here. On the corner. For the Black Lake Signal Jammer, we're going to go kind of northwest from Crossroads here on this little curved path along the Goldwood River. Now for this one, they don't necessarily say where the jammer could be found. They have no idea. But it's over in the black market area, and there's a few possible spawns for it. It's quite a long way from Crossroads, so be careful of the conscripts that can spawn out here. There are going to be military squads that have gear, which is usually going to be a little bit better than what you start out with. I like to try to just sneak my way along the coast here. And we got kind of lucky. It didn't seem like there was really any squad that spawned for us. But you want to look out for mostly this long stretch right here. There's usually going to be a patrol that walks all the way up this street here. And it looks like the spawn that we have for our signal jammer here is right on top of this silo. You could also have it spawn further along the black market this way. And this time we have a spawn right over here. It could also spawn for you right on the corner here in this little building here.
What the hell?
It can also spawn all the way at the end of the docks back here, on top of this crane location. Right up here. For the floodplain signal jammer, we're going to have to find and disable the jammer in floodplains located high up near the entrance of Dr. Mosby's lab. If we look on the map, we're going to be going from Crossroads here, and we're going to take this little trail that heads west. And the location for it should be somewhere near the RG West lab. We're just going to take the main path right over to the little facility that the signal jammer should be located. And there's a few different spots that it could be. Usually I start looking at this Etherworks area. But if you don't see it here, then afterwards we're going to have to head over towards the lab and check this area. But it looks like we got a pretty easy spawn on this run. This jammer's just right up here. If it spawns over by the lab for you, look over at this machine here labeled RG06. And it'll be right in between these things here. It could also spawn all the way on top of the Etherworks tower here. So if we go all the way up the stairs, it should just be right up here. The last location should be right up here on top of this little stack here. And we need to try to get a better angle in order to take it out. So we're going to go up the tower. And once we're up top here, we can climb on the roof. And it's right here. For hardware problems, we need to retrieve a computer board for Dr. Mosby and then turn it into him at his lab. There are a few dungeon locations that will have static spawns for them, but the easiest one that I found would be inside Simmi's room at the observatory. Just back here inside this locker will always be at least one computer board. It will be locked, so you need either a crowbar or some lockpicks. And opening it does lower your reputation by about 30 points. But don't worry about that too much, because you'll be getting that reputation back pretty easily with your contracts. It doesn't cost any reputation to take the things from the locker, just opening it up. Before we start M35, we need to make sure that we have at least one data tape. To do that, I'm going to go to Dr. Mosby's lab, and down the right here, if we go down the stairs, we'll find at least one static spawn for a data tape, and then back up the stairs here. If we go past Dr. Mosby and talk to Dr. Quinn, they'll always have at least one blank data tape. For the M35 transmission contract, we need to find the small radio station at M35. To get there, we need to go from Crossroads and head northeast to this little intersection, and then southeast until right about here. So once we reach M35 Northeast, just stay to the right. Here is an entrance to an insurrection base. Keep going past that entrance. And this is the path that you're looking for. Just right up here would be the radio station. There's a couple of ways inside. I used to try to jump over the gate here, or maybe even try to unlock this door. You could just break the window and jump inside like this. And that might be the easiest way in. Just download the tape off this little radio right here. Also a hole right here you can get through. And there should always be a Molasses spawn right here. Hold on to that. Retake the Safe-house can be done at the Black Lake, just north of the Crossroads entrance. You'll see this little building icon here. The safe house is going to be the floating island that you'll see just in the distance there. Now, one of the more dangerous parts about this mission is that it's also right next to Dead Bridge. And that means you're going to be dealing with military spawns on the way to the island. So while you're heading over here, just be careful that you don't run into a spawn coming from this direction or coming from the town. The entire perimeter of the island is going to be littered with these mines. If you just crouch, you can pick them up pretty easily without setting them off. Really, you only have to worry about the pathway right here. There's going to be some littered on the left here, inside the bushes, and on the right as well. Just go up the chain and be ready to fight.
I'm not joking, I will shoot.
Clearing out the safe house gives you access to this area as a nice spawn location. You've got a cooking station here, a crafting station, and a stash. And if you want to set it as your spawn, just sleep in the bed here. The only thing that you have to worry about whenever you're spawning here is that the military will come from this direction to the left here. And if it's ever storming, they like to shelter underneath the island. For the Metro dead drop, we're going to need to pick up the dead drop inside Metropole. Just head all the way to the west here. We're going to go in through the little intersection at the Black Lake at the end of the dock. This little sign here that says Port Rail. And the location for it should be inside the police station here. But there's a couple of different places that it could drop inside the station. And lucky for us, this one's right here. It could also just be right underneath the stairs right here.
Cover me.
Or if we go up the stairs, and then on this second floor, go to the end, and just underneath this desk right here. And then I believe the final position for it should be all the way up the stairs. Almost to the end of the stairs, through this hole here, just underneath the table. Lastly, if you open the duffel bag, it'll cost you $125 and give you Clyde's honey egg. Amazing. And also cost you about 300 reputation. For the Crossroads dead drop, just go to Crossroads, and we're going to look for the water lock in the southeast. So of course, Crossroads on the map, and then this little dam looking area. Just head all the way to the east, and be careful, because this area right here is usually spawning insurrection patrols. The spot that we need to look within is right up here. And here we go. This is the duffel bag that we're looking for. You can can also find the bag just down here on the little boat. And just behind the door. And there's one just at the end here. And then one bag just under here. If you open the duffel bag, you will receive 2 of these Type 18 combat ARs, as well as FMJ ammo for the 5.56 and 5.56 AP rounds, but you'll lose 300 reputation. For the Flooded Village dead drop, we're going to go into the Flooded Village, and we're looking for an old cafe. This one is pretty simple. Just go from the Crossroads to the west into floodplains, and this little area here called Bewley. What's nice about this dead drop is there is only one location for it to spawn. Now, all the way at the end of the flooded village here is going to be the building that we're looking for. There's just one bag location, and it actually contains a reward that might be worth opening the bag and ruining the contract. Depending on if you're actually using an ether build. So right behind the chair here, for this contract, if you open the duffel bag, you'll receive an ether canister, as well as this glowing lab sample, but you will lose 300 reputation with the freelancers. For Pocket Watch, you want to head to Crossroads, and look for this cabin near the farm. Just up this road here in this little neighborhood. Right across from that old farm is this little building. Usually there's a door here, but I think it got blown off a little while ago. You can either lockpick it, crowbar it, fire exit. And the pocket watch that you need is just this one right here. If, for whatever reason, you found this pocket watch earlier in the game and sold it, just try to look out for another pocket watch later, because it doesn't have to be this specific one, just any pocket watch will do. But this one is a guaranteed static spawn every game. For 7 meat special, we need to collect a rack of pork ribs, a reclaimed sausage, 1 can of beef mince, 1 can of candied tuna, a cut of venison, a cut of not venison, and then dog meat. Now, I typically like holding off from doing this contract or even picking it up until the end of the game once I have all that stuff already looted, because otherwise it's just going to be sitting inside my active contracts forever until I'm able to get that stuff. In order to actually harvest meat from anything, you need to have either a combat knife or a utility knife, one of these knives that says tap C to harvest dead bodies. Go up to a dead animal and hit C on it, that'll harvest the meat, and it'll either give you the unique meat that it drops or rotten meat. So not venison would be the not deer monster that spawns. Venison would be from regular deer. Pork ribs would be from the new boars that spawn. Candied tuna and beef mince can usually be found in these more populated areas if you loot the slums or metropole or the docks, and just loot refrigerators and houses everywhere that you could try to find cans and things like that. If you're having trouble finding these animals, they're mostly going to be in the less populated forest areas. So I would look in Goldwood Forest, Crossroads, Northeast, or South Bend. South Bend seems to have a lot more spawns for animals than other places. And even up in the new Pine Ridge area. So like these boars here that are extremely loud. Then these would be the deer that we need for the venison. And those are not venison. There's also a crafting recipe for reclaimed sausage. If you're having trouble finding the sausages, you just need canned beef and then 3 dog meat. Now, the part that may take the longest for 7 meat special and why you probably want to hold off on doing it for a while would be the cut of not venison, because you really have to rely on RNG for a not deer monster to spawn. You could try to go after the one that is in the crash site if you just go behind the observatory, but that's just one chance of getting it. And if you end up getting rotten meat instead, then you just gotta wait a little longer. Aside from that, there's not much to it. For missing contact, we're looking for an abandoned farm at the Crossroads, and we're looking for anything that the contact might have left behind. For this location, just go to Crossroads and look for this little neighborhood area right here. And this abandoned farm building here is the building that we want to get inside of. We need this spade right here. And you'll find that these doors are all locked. You could lockpick it, or if you go down back to the railroad and grab the fire axe right here, we've got another way inside. First, I like to just loot this little building right here. And then the building that we need to get into. You may as well just loot it, take anything that you need, and we'll go up the stairs. Now, at the very top, you may have to crouch jump to get up here. Jump onto the little railing, and then crouch jump to get up top. There's some soup, some tuna, whiskey, and then a farmhouse note we need to look at. And then right up top is some money and a nice little snub nose. Let's read the note and see what it says. Broker was right about this stuff, but I'm starting to think what I've got here might be worth a little more than money. Let's see how deep we can go. Reminder, out his right eye, the scarecrow spots what lays beneath twin stones. Spades for aces. Now, if you don't know exactly where to look for this, you could spend forever digging in the wrong spot. What you're looking for is the scarecrow, and then right in between these two rocks. There's this small package that the broker is looking for. Now, opening this package will just give you some stardust as well as a glow sprout. But usually it's just nice to turn it in for the XP. For Lenny's house, we're going to start at the Black Lake, just at the intersection where we would go to either Metropole or Depot here, south of the Black Market, and just head south towards Depot. Once we're at depot, we want to head west. So just stay to the right here. And go past this building. And we're looking for this little neighborhood. Now, just at this tunnel that says Port Rail, the entrance to Metro, we're going to find Lenny's house. If you don't have the contract assigned, this building will be blocked off. He's going to be on the 3rd floor, just behind this boarded up area. Now be careful before you go into the door. Step aside. Don't get shot. And the best practice here is to not touch anything. You can melee the bear traps to activate them before stepping on them.
On the floor now!
And he'll be aggroed as soon as you go up the stairs, so there's no sneaking up on him.
Is that all you've got?
If you've got a grenade, you could try to toss it up to him. But he's pretty resilient. I don't recommend rushing him, because he's got an LMG and does a lot of damage. But once you kill him, you can take it for yourself. In order to do both Modial Interaction and Bad Egg, we need to visit the floodplains. This location is east on the map from Crossroads, and the actual entrance to the dungeon is at the very south here, near the RG West lab. Before we do the dungeon, we need to make sure that we have a couple of things. I like to have at least one kind of light source, preferably something that is on your helmet or something that is on a weapon. You could also take a flashlight or flares. Then we need bolts and lockpicks. Also, just to make sure that you have decent weapons and healing. The flares will come in handy if we ever run into an EMP field, though it is kind of rare in this dungeon. The objective that we need for the Modial Interaction contract is right here. It's this battery. But what I like to do first is go through and clear most of the dungeon first. The lab dungeon is going to be one of the more dangerous dungeons that you find in the beginning of the game. Mostly because it's probably going to be your first run-in with loners, if you happen to have a loner squad spawn. And it is going to spawn more monsters than you've probably seen before. Like this guy. I won't show you exactly every way that you could go around this dungeon. I will just show you the most straightforward path that I typically take. We want to find this terminal here, and we could first look at the directory. These entries mostly give us some lore, but I am interested in this one here that says Containment Wing. This is going to give us a list of doors that we're able to open using this terminal. And if we read this, it'll say CO1 has hazardous material storage, CO2 has a living subject, CO3 is not described, And CO4 is an artifact containment. I would rather not open this cell that is trapping this living subject. So we're going to type in everything else. What you can do is just type everything with a comma to separate them without really even putting in a break. As long as we're activating them. Now, if you wanted to shut something like, say for instance, we wanted to shut down CO1, we would type this and do false to deactivate it. But we want to have it open, so activate it again. And it looks like something killed Bad Egg for us. That might happen pretty often with the new update, because right now Bad Egg is locked inside their own room, and once we open that room, they're probably going to run into a bunch of monsters. And the new weapon that they carry is not very effective. I believe they used to have a Type 15 security SMG, which would let them kill basically any monster that they came across. But now they have like a tunnel rat, which is definitely a tier down from the Type 15s. Yeah, they got murked over here. So the LO1 room, as soon as you open that one, Bad Egg is going to wander out and get owned by monsters. Yeah, the 3-round burst, tunnel rat. I'm sure it's decent to use, but the bots don't really use it very well. Now, on their body, they carry the RG East keycard, which does let us go into this room over here and open any of the security doors that we want to. And then the attic lab key gives us access to a lab over in Metro. I'll give you that little hint for free. And then I believe this is SO6. This room used to have a chest in it. I believe it's a blue chest. But now it just has a lot of themed loot. Like these samples and pumps and kits and modules and phosphates and things like that. So you do get a decent amount of money from here now. As well as some, like, equipment that you might need later. I would definitely hold on to a couple of these in a stash if you're playing maybe to extract. I believe this terminal is the same as the last terminal that we looked at. The next terminal that we're interested in is the one in LO1. Excuse me. Let's look at the directory here, and this one has a new one called Lockdown Notice. That gives us the override code for the containment ring, 8344. And this one also has the function of opening SO6 in case you aren't doing Bad Egg and you need to open that door. Now, this room here is where we need to bring the battery. And sometimes you can actually get a few artifact spawns in here. Like on top of this little thing. Although, kind of rarely. Let's go ahead and just clear it out so we can bring down the battery without any hassle. Over here could be another potential artifact spawn. Never lucky. And over there as well in the same kind of overhanging structure. Now watch out that you don't run into the fire down here. Aside from that, it's mostly safe. Down here is just a separate way to get into this room, but I find that it's kind of not really worth going into. It's odd because that whole area is filled with poison and is kind of harder to access than just walking in through the doorways up here, so I suppose there could be like an artifact spawn in there as well. But since I don't have a way of scanning for it, I don't want to check it out. We'll just go back to the entrance and get our battery. And then we'll look around a little bit more for some goodies. So I kind of got lucky with the spawns here. Usually I'd be a lot more careful, but we only have the spitters, which don't really pose much of a threat. Oh, wrong way. We want to go back around the way we came. They're only really dangerous if you get in the range of their spit, and only if you stand in the acid, so they're not doing a whole lot. If you hear, like, flashlights toggling or people talking, you want to be a lot more careful because that means that you have a loner spawn. Alright. Battery in, and bad egg is down. So, really, we could just get out of here if we only cared about doing the contract. But there is a containment wing we need to deal with. Let's go on down. And the code that we got earlier is 8344. Open. Now there's a little friend inside this room that we don't want to deal with, so we keep them closed in there. Some nice loot for us. This path leads back to, I believe, where the acid tunnel should be. Ooh. Nice artifact. And then 803 gives us access to a armor locker. Ow. And sometimes there's an artifact spawn over here as well, but don't do that. I think I've seen an artifact spawn for me in that corner maybe one time, but I check it just on the off chance that I ever see it again. Now, we want to bring lockpicks to this dungeon because we like this locker here. If something spawns in front of this keycard, just move it. PD002 keycard. We would like to have that for later. And the armor cabinet here. Sometimes it could give us like a hazmat suit. This time it looks like we got a composite vest, which is decent for the kinetic resist. And I guess decent against melee, so like stabbing, slashing. And a very nice gas mask with the HAZOP mask. TAC headset would be nice if we were trying to disguise as anyone, but I don't really play that way a whole lot. And a crafting station for some reason. Now the test drill memo here. Attention RGE science staff. This tells us about the PD002 lab and gives you a hint for a quest later. Please prepare the drill head for transport. But we're not going to touch that for a while. Let's go ahead and just bolt back out of here. Trying not to explode again. You hug this wall right here, you should be safe. And that's about everything that we need. Now, if you want to turn the contract into Mosby, you can leave just straight through RG West right here. And we're good. Counter Sniper has changed its location since the last patch, so now we're going to need to head to Skeleton Coast. That would be located just to the west of Floodplains. So from the lab, just go west, straight line, and we will end up here.
I'm hungry.
Hello. Now, the sniper that we're looking for is going to be near this shipwrecked area towards the south. And he should actually be able to spot me from once I reach this little area right here. Oh my goodness. A tip that I have for you is if you have some trouble doing this mission and the sniper spots you way too easily, try doing this mission early on in the day where there's more fog, and he'll actually not be able to spot you from until maybe you get like a lot closer. Now, if he is actively fighting somebody and he's alerted, he's going to be actively looking for people. But it seems like right now he's kind of just relaxing there. So we don't really have to worry too much until we get a little closer. Yep, he's fighting somebody now. Owie. It's usually good to wait until he's distracted and just shoot him a little bit and you're good to go. Now, there is sometimes an artifact spawn underneath this little shipwreck here, so always good to check this spot here. And we want to grab his gun, because it's a really nice weapon for later. So go ahead and just grab that. I believe if you fight him before he starts shooting people, then you could get it with a full magazine. But that's pretty much it. Just go turn that into Mama Roach. For a catalyst, we're going to need to investigate potential cultist activity in the M35 tunnels. Which means we're going to need to go northeast of Crossroads here. Into M35 northeast. And keep walking along the highway until we reach just kind of the end of this wall here. Until it opens up into the tunnels. And we're just going to walk in and go all the way down, I believe, to the second floor. I've got some neat lightning, electricity in the way, so we're just going to carefully glide around that. And what we need before going into this dungeon is actually going to be either a crowbar or a fire axe. Good thing these guys dropped some for me. If you're having trouble finding any, you can typically find them from those post-human construction workers, or there is a guaranteed spawn for a fire axe at the Crossroads, just kind of right next to this little building here, next to the railroad. There's a red station that you can get a fire axe from. And what else we would need for this dungeon would be preferably some kind of helmet-mounted light, a flashlight, or some flares. And in order to do the catalyst I like to bring frag grenades. You'll see why in a minute. So into T1806. If you brought the crowbar with you, there's a new function you could use with it. You can now pry open the boards, and I'll show you a way that we could deal with this guy. Oh shit. It's gonna be loud for a minute, I'm sorry. What I like to do is to try to get him back over to where he spawns over there. Come on. So we're going to rodeo him a little bit. This is probably pretty dangerous if you haven't tried it before. Just watch out for whenever he starts exploding, because that propels him a lot more. Okay. Now he's kind of stuck in here, and we can go down to where the catalyst spawned. He could get out in a second, so just watch out for him. Now this part gives you, I believe, some radiation damage, and will turn off your mounted light. So we're going to flare here. Just do a little right click. And just use F or G to drag these props out of the way. Give you a little kick. Just throw that aside. And now we can pry the rest of the boards. And we'll use our frag here to blow up the little catalyst. There we go. And then I'm just going to take the flare inside this room. And now we can loot it without any more issues. Go ahead and pry that open. We don't need to waste any lockpicks for that. It's decent. Go ahead and wear that. Why not? And some goodies for us. Just loot everything. Dave is pretty thoroughly stuck in there, so we can just walk around and explore. Now, back on the opposite side, through this little barricade, we need to pry open some more planks. There should be an artifact chest if we move this stuff out of the way. There is no longer a red chest here. It's been pretty much remade for the loot update. And the biggest change is that I think the red chest room was turned into that catalyst room. So, a little bit different now, and it's not necessarily going to be a place that you want to rush right away. And with that, we're pretty much done. So the loot that we have now is a decent weapon and decent armor. You could rush that area right away if you wanted to, and also get the guaranteed artifact. But it's not going to completely power you up like previously where it had the red chest. Also, it's kind of lame. We got blue tesseract, but still useful in case we need to get out of somewhere. And that's it. For Northern Passage, we're going to need to head to M35, and just north of this zone is going to be an insurrection outpost. So, at the very end of this little intersection here, we'll head north to this little transition, And that'll bring us to dead end. Now, this mission isn't quite as difficult as something like maybe the Refinery Raid or dealing with Dead Bridge, because the insurrection here is not as well equipped. Now, doing this mission during the daytime, with the new changes to enemy observation, will make it so that the sniper up here can spot you from a very far distance. It's going to be useful to come out doing stealth by crouch walking. That way they don't spot you right away. And we're just going to head down along this little path made for us and hope they don't look at us. Now, if you have a scoped weapon, like a sniper, or even just like a rifle with a decent scope on it, you can take them out from here. Seems like that's about the extent we can go before they spot us right away. The good thing is, with a decent run speed, as long as we're not over encumbered, we can just sprint past them and they won't be able to shoot us very well. They're a little inaccurate, but that does mean that we are now spotted. So they're going to know that we're here. Now, they may not know exactly where I am, but they're going to be looking for me. I like to go up this little back section here and hop onto this little elevated section. Now, if you have a dandelion or you started out with high jump, you could do the same thing, getting onto an elevated ground to get into the facility on the opposite side over there, but otherwise you don't have another way in, I don't think. And here they are looking for me.
Not joking, I will shoot. Now this.
Okay. That's the sniper. And these guys have actually really decent weapons. So if you like the battle rifle weapon type, this would probably be a good spot to go to pretty early on. Here's a nice little DMR we could use. Let's go ahead and just grab that for now. And this building here is the one that we need to get into. Let's do that. There's a captain right there. It seems like the actual crosshair is like kind of below the chevron. There we go. Oh shit. They love throwing grenades here. I don't know if that's a guy. It's probably not a guy. Just gonna take their ammo for fun. And just get our hunger back up. That's most of everybody, I think. You'll have a couple of guys that keep themselves locked up in here. I think on like the second or third floor. And let's see, is this door locked?
Ah, hell.
Oh shit. Sneaky. Let's get our shotgun back on. Just gonna shoot me once and run away? Okay. Sure. Alright. Give me that ammo, thank you. That door is not locked, but this door usually is. So we're just gonna bash the window in and crouch jump through it. Some ammo, toolkit, nice stuff. Now here is the actual mission objective, the dead end report. Just grab that. And right here would be a key. This will actually allow us to enter the sewer that's behind the base. And these are a new addition with the new update. These lockers that are numbered. I don't recall if you can lockpick them. I think some that you can and some you can't. I actually need that right now because I'm going insane. They might be a little more difficult than like regular locks. But the cool thing with these is if you ever find a key in the world that has this 230 number or like corresponds with the number on the locker, you can use that key to open it. So far I've only found like 2. And I believe they're just kind of randomly throughout different locations in the world. So just be on the lookout for them. And I kind of like everything in there, except for the lighters. I don't need that right now. That's the captain right there. And I think he always has this auto mag, so if you like that weapon, nice little place to get it. And I believe these are also a new addition. I don't want to waste my lockpick on it, but if you had a crowbar, you could just open that up. It will raise an alarm, but it's a new resource, or a new way to start gathering scrap and electronic parts and things like that. Alright, I'm done looting here. Let's go ahead and just, ow. Go ahead and get out now. Yeah. That was pretty much everyone. So after that, you can just leave back out this way. Nice and easy. For Kill Spratt, we're going to need to head to this hotel here that is shown in the picture. Inside the slums. So this would be if you go west of Crossroads and Depot, and keep just following this railroad here, this red track, until you get to the end here where there is an unlabeled transition. This path will take you into the slums. And we're going to just stay on the right side here for this mission. Look out for loners here. This place can be very dangerous if you're attempting to do this mission on a newer character. Luckily, the room that you're looking for is just down the stairs from this first building, and you're looking for the B3 room. Now this room is going to be locked, and you'll need to use either lockpicks or a crowbar to get into the door. Alternatively, you could go around and try to just break this plank here. And that lets you just open the door. So this would be Spratt's room, but Spratt is not actually inside his room. We're gonna just go ahead and loot his stuff. Also, if you're doing this mission and you still have not completed 7 meat special, that's the candied tuna and the beef mince that you need right there. What you're looking for here, though, is Spratt's note. Let's try to read that. Entrance by the water. This is the warehouse located just in the middle of the Crossroads. And behind it would be this little underwater passage labeled AG-04. Go ahead and just loot everything that we can in here because there's some useful stuff. And we are going to head over to the Crossroads. Once we've reached the Crossroads and we get to the warehouse building, we're going to just go around the back and down to the water just briefly and up the ladder. Don't hang out in the water because it's dangerous. And this will be Cistern. Now, doing this dungeon just for the Spratt contract, you don't need a whole lot of gear, preferably just some kind of light, some bolts just in case you need to get through some anomalies, and a decent weapon and healing. There is a segment where you could take an oxygen tank if you find that to be useful, but it's not 100% necessary. The path that I'm going to take is just going to be directly down the first stairway on the north. And this room was changed to have bad gas inside of it, apparently. So you could wear a gas mask. It didn't really do a whole lot. You can just kind of walk through it. But if you want to explore that whole area, grab a mask for it. Now, right here would be AG-04. That's the door that we would like to get into. We're just going to go down the stairs on the right here. And go right one more time. And then... Excuse you. Down this little stairway. Almost to the end, just the second floor. And we are looking for this terminal here. Now, all that we need to do for a Spratt would be AG-04. And you're good. The other functions would be for lights inside the building, as well as a gas line function that you can turn off. And that's useful if you are looking for loot inside the rest of the dungeon. Just back up the stairs here. And right into AG-04. Now, I find that Spratt always spawns right in the corner here. And he's just kind of chilling.
Come and get me.
He's got a unique gun. It's pretty cool. It has a little laser sight attachment on it. But aside from that, not entirely useful. Then here, in this locker, there will always be a refinery keycard. You can use this to get into the refinery reactor room without needing to access the terminal. And then right over here is this little folder, the infrastructure records. You will need to hold on to this for a contract later. For the Lab E206 tape, we're going to need to head to Depot. And the lab is actually going to be located underneath this railway office over here. The middle of the map, kind of where this intersection is. To the main building, right in the middle. And we are mostly worried about this back room over here. Now, there's a couple of good spawns we can get from these containers right here, so feel free to check all this stuff. And we're good to go down. Now, what I would recommend bringing here is some kind of light, either flares, flashlights, helmet lights. But aside from that, there's not really a lot that you need. Just something like a decent weapon and a good light. Now, once you get into the lab, you want to be careful because there's usually going to be a loner spawn right down the stairway. So we're going to turn our light off and just prepare a flare. And using the darkness, just toss it down the stairway there and be careful. There could be one that's walking up the stairway here if they get into a fight with somebody and they start trying to flee the fight. But using the darkness here, we could just take them out pretty easily. That is a large squad. But once we get all of them, they're pretty much going to be the only threat, so we're good to loot a little bit more. Turn our light back on. And the window right here on the left side is going to have our data tape. Let's go ahead and grab that. Right here, you could use a lockpick to just kind of skip this area, but we're going to just go ahead and walk on through. Loot them a little bit. Get a nice little shotgun. Some more ammo for us. And this door right here is going to be locked for now. We're going to have to go down and unlock it using a terminal. If you've got poison resist, you could go through here and just go right up the stairs into the room and get what we need for the data tape. But I also like to loot this room right here. Let's watch out for these little flame sprites walking around. If you're running into trouble with them, you can just grab some trash and just toss it at them. Never mind. Grab some trash. And they should try to burn it like that. The cabinet did not like me. Alright. Go ahead and heal up a little bit. Have some food, why not? Now up here, we're usually going to have a post-human spawn or maybe a monster spawn. And then right in here we have a static computer board spawn. And just be careful as you go up the stairs here.
One has the right blade edge exposure, edge angle, and...
If you get the regular scientist post-human spawn, you probably don't need to worry too much. The one that you do need to worry about is if you get the military post-human spawn. And those guys could just sit up here and camp the area with SMGs and shotguns. Now at the top we have a armor locker. And then some regular lockers. And on the terminal, we can look at the directory. This is mostly lore, but sample ready is actually kind of contract relevant to us. It says that they are holding a sample, and the unlock code for it is added to the retrieval document. So we should actually take a look at the data tape that we grab. And like the other terminals, we want to just activate all these, no issue. But gas 05, we want to type in gas-05 space false to turn that off, because we don't like that. Sometimes loners could spawn inside this room, especially if they didn't spawn over there already, so just be on the lookout. If you get a monster or post-human spawn inside this room, then there's probably not going to be loners, though. This is going to be where we grab our data tape. And we're just going to head down and loop back around and grab this little box. We can use that to climb over this locked door and get our first ether canister. If you're interested in using ether, this would be a really good spot to hit pretty early on in your run. And this is the sample that we are interested in coming back to. This door right here is just unlocked for us. So we're just going to loot it real quick, and we get a nice little artifact. This is going to be random, so it's not going to give you this one that I have. But the poison resist is pretty nice, even though it gives you bad cough, which is a pretty bad negative trait. And I believe that's just about everything that you are able to find in here. Since they've taken the blue chest away, it's mostly just the mushrooms that you're looking for in here, and then the artifact and the canister. Now, before I turn in the data tape, I'm going to go into Mosby's lab and use his projection room to play the data tape that we got from E206. It's going to tell us about Red Root. They found it in a cave somewhere that we're going to end up having to go to later. It's the mighty Red Root right there. If you need the sample, you could go here and try to grab that. But we're just going to use the one that we found inside the chest using this code here, 8613. Now, if you did this quest and you turned in the data tape, you can actually make a copy of it right here at the public terminal, and you're good to go. If you don't want to run all the way back to E206 to grab the Red Root sample, you can go to Crossroads and into the cistern entrance and find the origin of the sample yourself. Just down the first flight of stairs that you see, We're going to have a room that has bad gas, so you could get a little bit sick off of this. Don't linger in there for too long. Just head down this next stairway until we reach the water here. Now, the path that you want to take is actually down the stairs and then down this way. Take a right. And then here, take a left and clear this debris. And just keep sprinting. Plug the right side here. Bad swimmer would make this a lot worse for you. So be careful that you're not holding on to something like Slimfish, like I probably am. This one makes this a lot more difficult. But not so bad. You still make it. And then once you're up at the top, we've got this little locker here. But what we're looking for is this cave. Let's go ahead and flare if you have an EMP. The cave that every single hatch in the game is hiding inside of. We'll just carry our flare with us. Go to the left. Grab your glowing mushrooms. And look out for potential artifact spawns as well. In here we've got an artifact locker. And then there are 4 red root samples you can grab off of the root here. You only need 1 for the quest, so I'm just going to grab 1. But if you would like more of them, you can come back here later and grab them in case you need them for the craftsman. Just be careful because every stack of the red root gives you hydrophobic. And that's why walking through the water just now hurt me a little bit. And we're going to avoid going back through the water that way. Just break off these planks and we'll go back up. From here, we can just head back up the stairs all the way to the top. And another dangerous thing about looting every single red root sample there is that you do have to go back out through water if you don't leave this area by teleporting. Just hook the left here and go up the ladder. Copper Stop is actually a pretty easy one for us to do. As we leave the burrow and head into the metro, we can just go to the left here. Hello, frog. And this little Aetherworks building over here is where we need to go. just get some free ammo from these guys, and let's take a look around. Here we can fill up our ether tank.
This way. Heck, later.
And usually there's going to be some spawns for Revolution here. Nothing too crazy.
Someone's in a hurry.
And right here would be the static spawns for the copper wire that we need. Just go back up the ladder here. And we're good to go. For our brownout, we're going to need to head to a new section, which is going to be a factory just north of Refinery. We can get there through the docks, which would be a little bit easier than trying to go through military areas. From the docks, we're just looking for the base that's just at the very end, towards the west. Should be right up the stairs here. And we're looking for one of the dungeon doors. Right there. Now, the factory is a dungeon that you need to be careful inside of. It's going to be very overwhelmed with military forces, and it could be on your playthrough occupied by freelancers or revolutionaries as well. But the main opposing force here is going to be the NFTA. A lot of them will use these scout rifles early on in the game, but they could also spawn with Cobra rifles, which will be a lot more dangerous.
Advance!
And if you hear them running around, do want to look out for them and try to find them, because they could go and find other squads and tell them about your location. Now, this first box is inside this bad gas room right here. You can see the little particles floating around. These areas will cause you to get sickness if you don't have a gas mask on. Luckily, we found a good gas mask earlier, so I'm not too worried about being in here. But if you don't have protection, you don't want to stick inside this area for too long. This room right here, we can crouch jump onto the box and then crouch jump onto the roof and cross it. And there's a little weapon crate, as well as a little locker room. This locker area here could sometimes spawn military weapons, so sometimes you can get lucky or just get crap like I did. The next box that we're looking for, though, is just right across the room and then down here. Now, usually by the second or third time you blow up one of these boxes, it's going to call down an Osprey. I believe it's just a random chance each time you blow one up. And then right out here is the third one we want. That should be the Osprey now. I like taking a grenade launcher for this part. But just watch out for the Osprey that spawns right here. Once it goes away, we can take a look out here. There they are. I think that's all of them. Yeah, it should be about 5 or so of these guys. And thank you for stopping. Loot their bodies for these guns if you don't already have them. The Type 15 is just a nice SMG to have, but you will need their specific weapons here for a contract later. So I'm missing this SMG. I need to take that one for one of Magpie's contracts. The last one is on the opposite side of the base. I believe just right up here. Yep, should be inside this room. There we go. And that's all of them. I don't believe if it goes off again that another Osprey will spawn. I think it's just the one time. And it looks like this time we really only got the post-humans to spawn, and maybe like one conscript squad, and then the Osprey squad. So we got pretty lucky on this run. But usually this place could be flooded with lots of spawns. Once we have all 4 of them, we can just head out, and we're good to go. For standard issue, we're going to need to retrieve a few military weapons to bring to Big Iron. It's going to be the Type 15 SMG, the Type 18 assault rifle, and the MTR-14 carbine. Now, I have each of them here in my stash because I've been collecting them throughout this playthrough. It's going to be this one here. This one. And this one. But if you're having trouble finding them, there's a couple of places that I would look. You can either try to get them from Refinery, whenever you're doing this mission, from Dead Bridge, or sometimes from Depot, depending on how many military spawn there. But a more guaranteed way to get some would be from the observatory here. If we go into the crash site dungeon. And this one, I say, is more of a guaranteed way to get these weapons because it's going to have an Osprey spawn. And whenever an Osprey sends down an elite squad, they usually have all 3 of those weapons. Now, this used to be an area that was pretty easy to get into and clear early game, but now it requires you to have some kind of gas mask to get through the bad gas here without taking too much sickness. And there were some changes to the not deer or their stagger. I'm not 100% sure whether that means they're harder to stagger with melee. Honestly, I haven't messed with them a whole lot recently. But coming in here with a decent shotgun puts them out pretty fast. This area is not too bad as long as you clear out the webs and you have some kind of way to like light the darkness here. I've gone through that way using just like a flare to cut all the webs and also be able to see. And then out here, we want to kill the dogs because we want the military to spawn in fresh and not be alerted right away. So go ahead and clear all of them out. And we've got post-human military right here. Nice and easy. Go ahead and just take that ammo for free.
take better care of little custom extractors. They stay put.
Owie. Take my ammo back. Some nice bandages and MREs. And what I believe used to be the blue chest here is now just a gun crate. But we still have the ether canister here that is totally filled, by the way. So don't leave that here. Gonna just activate the Osprey, and then we're gonna go back inside. So the trigger for it's right here. Walk past it, run back. Just wait for it for a minute. Alright. Now, I like to go up the elevation here a little bit to get a better angle on these guys down here. Sorry, my character's a little bit drunk. And let's see. They may not even be walking up here. I wonder. Oh, nope, there they go. Now, the one with the shotgun's going to be more aggressive. He's going to try to rush you. So it's good to try to take him out right away. The other ones will try to take cover or flank you. Don't be like me and just stand out in the open. And here we go. The carbine is usually the one that's going to be the hardest to find sometimes. And then the Type 15. And we got a little bit unlucky, because I think 2 of them spawned with SMGs. Let's see. Yeah, shotgun, Type 15, carbine, Type 15. So if that happens to you, go into the west side of the map and either go to the factory here, because military will spawn in this area, or the refinery here, and try to find them there. And I'll also check out Big Iron's armory just in case he spawns with the gun that we need, because sometimes he does that too. Now, I do want to note that you can't use a different type of the weapons that he's looking for. I tried turning it in using the MTR-14, and it looks like if you have a different variant of the gun that he's looking for, it's not going to work. It has to be just the base default type of the gun. Now, there are a number of contracts that we need to do at Goldwood Forest, primarily being Fan the Flames. But at the same time, I would also do Get Rid of That Guy. And we can do Stolen Goods here without even needing the contract for it. So I'll go ahead and show you that too. So either head east of Crossroads or south of M35 Northeast to get to this little facility here. I'm coming at this base from the northern direction, so if you're coming from Crossroads, you would start off over in that direction to my right there. Either way is perfectly fine. Coming from this way, though, what we can do is grab the tanks on the left side here early on. There could potentially be a monster spawn roaming this way, so just be careful of that. But aside from that, we've got just these two guys. Nice and easy. And then these tanks are what we need. And that's 4 of them without even really needing to interact with the main base in the middle. So once we get here, we're only worried about really taking out 2 more tanks. And then that lets us focus on everybody else. Let's deal with this guy. Somebody in here. And there's a tank right here we can grab. Let's not blow up. Oh, he may have just thrown that at himself. Alright, keeping on the right side here, we can actually go down a little bit. Looks like nobody else is watching us here, so just take this for free. Go back. And that's all the tanks that we need. But we're going to keep going. Ooh. Not too much damage. I think he's walking up on us over here, though. This mission used to be much more of a filter for me, until I figured out a lot more about how the AI actually works in this game. It's kind of a good mission to practice on if you're having trouble just fighting the inheritors. Just load into this map and keep reloading the same save, and use this place to just practice fighting people. There's always a shopkeeper that spawns right here. You can just sneak up on him. And he'll usually have a pretty decent gun. Now, just in case you want to see more of the fuel tanks, there's one right here, and one right here. And one right here. Now we're going to go back up and deal with the officer. So this is the captain's room up here. And he's usually alerted, so he's just chilling right here, I guess. Do I have a grenade I can throw in there? That! Maybe break the glass first before you do that. Not a big deal. He's not too much of a difficult target because he's just using this magnum and he never really shoots at you. Does have a key right here though that we would like. And plenty of just ammo for stuff. Now back down the ladder here. Grab that. Will be the locker room, and right up top would be the broker's stolen goods. Go ahead and just loot these for ammo. And in case you would like a disguise for these guys, these lockers will always have plenty of jackets and things. And sometimes helmets. Once you're done with that, that is all that you need. You're good to go. Pump Room is a contract that can be very confusing if you're not really familiar with the names of the locales. Port Rail would basically be the entire city. So, essentially, this whole area here would be Port Rail. And Haldy, the area that's mentioned in the contract, is the town that is to the east of the Black Market. So let's start off by visiting there first. Going from the Black Market, just go up the ladder. And we'll follow that road that the military love to patrol on. As I said, you're very likely to come across some kind of patrol here. Now, holy shit. I was expecting the military, but not the cultist kill squad. Holy. Oh. I was mistaken. Insurrection kill squad. Okay. Back to the contract. Standard Ether Co. is the building that you're looking for once you actually reach the town of Haldy proper. And we're going to look for a terminal that has the information that we need. Let's see here. This one here. And let's look at the functions. No functions. Directories. So, UT 308. Utility Tunnel number 308, Port Rail, Southern Freight Depot. Standard Ether Company ground pump control node. Status 83% online. That is the location that we need to go to. And it's a little bit obtuse. If you had no idea what these areas are, you would probably not even think to look for these locations. All that being said, we need to go to depot. So go back up towards the dock here, go south, and we're good to go. And we hit this part here that says Port Rail, turn left, and head all the way down this way. At the end of this road will be depot. And the location that we're looking for is just to the left of us. through the bushes. Through the bushes. And here we have UT-308. It looks very much online. And then into the dungeon itself. Now, if you'd like to fully explore the dungeon, you're going to need to take Poison Resist and Acid Resist. And I believe you're also going to need some lockpicks, so let's grab those and put it on there. We're just going to hang on the right side here and take it all the way down. On previous patches, these lockers would spawn in I believe a Hazop gear. At least like the armor piece for it, or a jacket. But I don't believe it really does that anymore, or at least you have to be very lucky to find one. And down here we're going to encounter the homunculus enemies. If you need the Eye for an Eye quest, make sure that you have a knife equipped, so we're going to do that. And let's see. This guy's dangerous. I threw the flare here because the light attracts them. Or at least should distract them a little bit. Reload, I guess. And look out for their little glowing eyes. They're rather strong, but they use pretty awful, old, inaccurate weapons. So as long as you're not getting in their face like I am with this guy, you should be okay. What's really bad if they get too close is they can stick your barrel like this and make it so you can't shoot, so don't let them get right in your face. Alrighty. This way here just leads to the end of the dungeon, and I believe, not with a crowbar, but with a lockpick, you may be able to open this door, but we're not going to try to do that here. Alright. Back that way is not really much of anything that we need. We're just going to stick on the right over here. Let's go ahead and just pry this open and let everybody out. Oh, they are waiting for a grenade. Very resilient guys. Ooh. It's time for our flare. This is definitely the point where you would want to bring some armor pen ammo. I think they're basically immune to kinetic damage. But they're not immune to mag dumping. I guess I shouldn't say immune to kinetic damage, but very resistant. Now, up here is going to be another one of the catalyst things. And you can shoot it with bullets, or we could try shooting it with a high explosive round. Like that. And let's go ahead and grab some ammo too. That'll be good. Alright. Once you're up here, slam in that data tape. Reading this data tape just gives you the location of a few of the ether pumps around the world, which can be used to refill your ether canisters. Take that binocular because I didn't realize I didn't have any on me. What in the... So that's where the insulated jacket's hiding. And then we can unlock this door here. Sometimes these bigger cabinets could have like a weapon or something, but we get nothing. And down here would be where we need the gas and poison resist. So make sure that we're healthy. We're a little bit crazy, but we're healthy. And let's quickly go down. Now, this used to... Rather, the poison down here used to make you sick as well. I think now just the gas has a chance of making you sick. It's not too bad, though. Just run through it if we have enough resist, and we're okay. Nice little artifact thing here. Failed conduit. Gives us Grim Aura, Intense Personality. Not quite my favorite, because I'm not building rep with anyone, but that's fine. And Standard Infantry Armor. I think I'm going to just keep the one that I have and not grab that one. And now that we've done all that, grab our knife. C, by default, lets us harvest. Get a lockpick off that guy. Rancid meat off that guy. And a homunculus eye off of that one. So they'll give us 2 at a time. Those are what you need. Flood control. Disable the flow control valve, causing the subway tunnels to flood. No big deal. We are going to go to Metropole. And kind of just south of the borough here, where we have this little intersection, we're going to find the First National Bank. The first ever. Open that back door. This is staff only. Into the hole. Down the stairs. And we are going to go right down into these little tunnels. There's also a pathway this way to get down from this building here.
We're going to use an ordinary garden variety peach
So a couple of ways down. But either way, we're going to go down to this little dungeon labeled STNW13. Now, for this dungeon, you need at least some kind of light. Flashlight, flare, weapon light, helmet light. And I would recommend acid resist. As much acid resist as you can. because this entire place is covered in it. If you don't bring that, at least bring decent healing. Aside from that, lockpicks, bolts, weapons, everything else that you would want to take with you in a dungeon. For this contract, we're going to just stay to the right here. Go to the end of this red cart as much as you can. Pop out. Watch out for these pools of acid. Into the next red cart. Until we reach the end where there's a bunch of acid. Okay. There's another car ahead of us. We don't want to go that way. We need to go to the left over here. Just run as much as we can. And hop up here. You're safe here. You can heal if you need to. But we're gonna have to... We're gonna have to get to the end over there, so we can take this red car. The loners are not worried about me. They are fighting for their lives. So we're gonna skip them. Still good. And then all the way at the end here. Ooh. If you run into a handyman, try to deal with it that way. Basically, get pulled by it, or get near it, and then just backpedal away from it. It's actually really weak. If it hits you like maybe one time, you're fine. And the valve that we're looking for should be, I believe, all the way at the end. On the left side here. There are multiple monsters that spawn down here. Now the fire exit, I believe, brings us back around to the beginning, but it's also a loot room. And unlock that if we want to. Interesting. And these lockers here are usually better than most, but still not amazing. Unless you're doing it kind of early on in the game. And then we go back up the stairs this way. Now there can potentially be loners all the way at the end of, like, the path up here. Not a bad weapon. So be careful right here. Yeah, because they dropped down. If you run across this where they are, like, camping down here, just go out the fire exit. And... wow. Really decent armor, actually. Ballistic helm's nice. Ooh, hello again. You know what? I think I'm just gonna run by you. So, back down the fire exit. I've had characters die from the fall of falling off that second story up there. So this might actually be like the preferred path. If we go out this way, I think the entrance to the dungeon is just like right across the car right there. And you're good. Gold Rush is an interesting contract because it may be the first time that you come across a kill squad. Take the duffel bag off of Magpie's counter, and that will trigger a loner kill squad that will follow you across the world, and we'll see if we run into them before we get to Big Iron. From the docks, basically we're going to just be heading straight east, through Metropole, through Black Lake, and then we can take Dead Bridge into M35 Northeast, and then finally all the way south through South Bend into Big Iron's Armory. Nothing too fancy about this one unless you run into the loner squad. We're basically just going to be running the whole time. Ignore everybody else. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's not look behind us. Now, once we hit the road here to Black Lake, down to the Dead Bridge, let's just go into the trees, hit our lights off, and we'll try to avoid the patrols. There's 2 spawn points this way. So over towards Crossroads here, and over towards Dead Bridge. Be careful on the left over here, in case you didn't clear all of the mines from the bushes. Maybe don't go that way. And here's a spawn. Okay. Let's see if we can just stealth past them. Maybe not.
I don't like this. Stick together.
If I'm just perfectly still. Oh, there's 4 of them. Okay. I think it's very unlikely that we would have another spawn over here, so let's just go for it. Okay. At Dead Bridge, we can just go straight up the hill. Now that I'm thinking about it, it could be way faster to just go into Crossroads. You don't even have to go through Dead Bridge. Oh, we did it anyways. Oh well. I love hauling heavy things all the way across the map, don't you? So on the right side here, going past the Firebird, going past the Insurrection, right past the M35 radio tower. And now we are at South Bend, finally. This is where I usually find that the loner kill squad will spawn for you. And I want to say that they could spawn through either entrance into South Bend. So right here where I came out of, or on the west where the railroad would be. Now, if you don't see them during the contract, you may still see them after, because it should spawn them on the map as a roaming patrol. And they could just run into you after. I think we've pretty much avoided them so far, though. But they're pretty much leaving Big Iron unguarded this time. So we're just going to head in. And give this heavy bag to Big Iron. Now I'm going to head back out here and take a look around for a minute, just in case. And here we are. Let's give him a little flare. So both times that I've encountered this squad, it's been from the north side. So I believe they spawn and take the same kind of route that I took. Ooh, good flash. And I think that might be all of them. Nope. Last one's running somewhere. There you are. Oh, one more. I need that ammo. There you go. For fine vintage, we need to head to Metropole in order to find the Old Baron living in Port Rail. What we're looking for is a manor building. It's going to be towards the left side, just past the bank here. And this is the building that we're looking for. Now, you could try to go in through the building next to it and climb onto the balcony and get up top. Or go in through the front door. But usually, these guys will be aggroed right away. Another way that you can get inside is if you go in through the bank and go down through the tunnels. Now, if you do this, and you sneak in here without approaching the front door, usually they won't be aggroed. But if you hear them running around like this, they're already aggroed. Like that. This door is still going to be locked, so you do need either a crowbar or some lockpicks. But the best thing about being down here is that you're isolated from the rest of any sort of like hostile enemies that could spawn up here, as well as staying away from any anomalies. So ideally you would have an armor penetration type weapon like a hatchet or a fire axe, or just bring a gun that has decent armor pen like a 5.56 with AP rounds, even something like a slug rounds for a shotgun, or like the incendiary armor pen rounds for the shotgun, 9mm armor pen. Anything like that will be good against the butlers. But as a last resort, you can just hit them in the head with something heavy. Just going to open it and let them free. Yep, there they go. Yep. Armor pen rounds puts him out pretty quick. Now, the location that we're looking for in order to find the bottle that we need for the contract is inside this door right here. I think you could try to lockpick it, but we're not going to worry about doing that. You can go around and loot this whole place. Candy tuna, nice and easy. But go up the stairs here and loot his entire building free of charge. Plenty of valuable things we can sell. Now, the actual room that we need is right here. It's going to be locked. Crowbar it, lockpick it. We will meet the Baron. Usually what I like to do is just kill him right away, but you can talk to him. If you do the dialogue correctly, you can get him to not aggro onto you. But I think it's just if you question who he is, then he tries to fight you. I'm not too concerned about that. Loot all of his stuff. And go up the stairs once we have his key. And we have a static spawn for the Whispering Worm familiar. What this does is anytime that you would take psychic damage, this gives you, I believe, a 25% chance to ignore it, and instead you hear whispers. Really nicely paired with Grim Aura. And potentially some weapons that you may or may not need. At this point in the game, the ones that you get here are pretty trash. Mostly just good for loot. Like gold, things like that. Key lets you open the front door, and let's just go back down the stairs here for the blue room. There's whiskeys all around, and this is the bottle that we're looking for the contract. The Paladin Brandy. More weapons and random things. With all of the gold that you looted from the manor, you can go straight to the saloon and talk to Magpie and say, let's talk business. This will allow you to sell gold items for a much higher upsell. Depot Documents has had its client changed from the broker over to Magpie, but aside from that, it is mostly the same old contract. We're going to be going to the depot, and we're looking for the railway company documents. So head to the depot on the map, just west of the Crossroads, until we reach this building right here. Now, what we're looking for is some way into this room up here, the records room. But it's locked. We need an ID card. If you look around a little bit, you'll find this board here that has this note called Records Office Notice. To all staff, if you need to get into the company records office, you'll need to get Mr. Sheffield's assistance. He's the only employee that has a key. Amazing. Looking around a little bit, you can find a Rolodex. And we can find, perhaps, David Sheffield here. Address would be 405 Maywell Square. You can add that to your journal if you need to. And thankfully, they lived over to the west over here at some point. Right in the neighborhood over here. And the square, Maywell Square, is this little section right here. And we're looking for 405. Of course, it would be locked. So make sure that you bring a crowbar or some lockpicks, or even a fire axe. You can just break it down. May as well loot here, why not? Perfume. And the ID card that we're looking for is in the jacket right here. And we can just head on out. Now going back into the depot. It's usually a war zone here. Okay. Back upstairs to the record room. And we can use the ID card to get inside. Usually some nice loot in here. And the depot documents are on the table right here. Usually it's worth it to keep looting around here. Once you're done, you can go ahead and go outside. But before we turn in the documents, go ahead and read the depot manifest. It'll give you the information for all of the different red box cars and what kinds of loot are carried inside of them. Like, one carries military equipment, for example. And there's a note at the very end. Keeper, if you need to get into any of these boxcars to update the manifest, I left a master key on top of my locker in the southeast train shed. For the Refinery Raid, we are going to be going to the refinery location on the map. And the route that I'm going to take would be going from floodplains and going west to Skeleton Coast and coming in through the south side here. Now, at the point that I'm doing this contract on this character, I'm pretty much near endgame territory. So I do have access to stuff like the ballistic helmet, heavy plate armor, tactical weapons. You don't necessarily need those things, but it would make it a lot easier. What I am going to do is take the sniper that we got from the counter sniper contract, as well as a Type 15 that we got from earlier on in the game. And I'm just going to pair that with AP ammo. This ammo you can find either from Dr. Mosby's shop or from the black market shop. And I believe also the Burrow. But try to stock up on this stuff because the guards of the refinery are going to be pretty heavily armored. We're also going to need to take quite a bit of healing, just in case we get caught out. And we're going to try to go during the daytime. I used to recommend going during the night, but I believe night vision goggles were moved to a lot further on in the game for balancing. Because otherwise it would make a lot of these contracts a lot easier. Now, you still could go during the night and just try to use the darkness as cover. But the way that they use their flare to kind of light up the entire area, I just don't feel like it's very much worth it. I really prefer to just be able to see. Okay, to start off with, we're going to try sniping these guards out here. And just take out as many of them from outside that we can. There's also going to be a sniper inside the little like warehouse section right here that I can't quite see yet. As well as a sniper tower back over here. And then one over here as well. Let's see if I can open this. Yep. Now, there are a few different pathways into the actual refinery itself. You could swim down, and there should be like a ladder down here. But that'll put you right into the thick of every single guard if you do get caught. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. Oh. He saw me before I could take the shot. I took the grenade launcher here just in case that happens and they start just flooding through the door right here. But we're not going to waste our grenades on these guys. I don't believe they use armor pen ammo. So even if you have like a little bit of kinetic resist, you're fine. And with something like the Type 15, they go down really fast. I'm staying over here because this is mostly out of the line of sight of the snipers that are on the other side of the map over here. And they're all lining up now. Yeah, these guys are a lot more resilient. The ones in the heavy armor. Oh. Okay. That's interesting. So they just spawned reinforcements. I see you. That might be an interaction with the alarm going off. The alarm that's giving us trouble is this one right up here. Let's see if there's like a way we can take that out from down here. Yeah, if we use this sniper. And maybe... Nope, that's blocked off. We can try to lockpick this door here. There we go. One sniper there. That might actually just be a regular guard. With like a Type 18. But the actual sniper is further in the back there. There we go. That's one of the alarms that's giving us trouble. The next one is like all the way down there. And then one inside the warehouse. Ooh, jeez. There is a sniper. There we go. Oh, jeez. Okay. The one sniper that came out here is the one that's usually sitting inside the warehouse. Once the alarms start going off, they just tend to like flood out onto the bridge here. Run up a little bit. Be careful of this area because they do like to get stuck like right here sometimes. Or just kind of like wait around for you. I'm just gonna see if there's anyone else chilling out here. Now I know the sniper is still back there. Hello. There he is. Excuse me. There you go. And that should be most of them. Take some healing if you need it. MREs and gauze are really nice to take off these guys. And I'm not too worried about anyone else spawning here now. It's a nice LMG if you want one. I think there's usually at least like one guy that has that. If you have a key to this cart, there's usually like a weapon crate in there. We'll take a look at it. A decent weapon. And sometimes there's somebody still just hanging back inside this area. Go ahead and grab the AP rounds. So don't let your guard down when you're inside here. Now, in case you don't have a key card to the door, you can take a look here. Functions. Doors. Reactor. And then gates front will just open the gate in case it's still locked. Military gear. NFTA seat chart. It's interesting. That might be like a quick play mission kind of thing. The last alarm is this one down here. I don't see them really tapping this one a whole lot. It's mostly going to be the one that's up in like the little overpass, and then this one here. Some loot right here makes you extra heavy. Now, at this point, if you have some kind of teleport, like a Tesseract, you could blow this up and teleport out. Alternatively, if you don't have that, see if the hollow point does anything to it. Yep. Alright, whatever. So these Ospreys are going to drop down, usually on the back and on the left side, and then at the front there, and we're going to take a bunch of radiation damage. Probably the easiest way out would be to just get into the ocean and just swim back to the beach. That's just the Osprey that hangs out in the back leaving. And let's see if we can just crawl back into the beach over here. Yeah. It's a sneaky way out. Now, there could be a couple of guys that wandered out this way. So we'll just stay away from the gate. And we're in the clear. For Scorched Earth, you want to head to M35 Northeast, northeast of the Crossroads, until you're just a little bit past the strange junk shop here, and we're looking for this intersection, which should be right here. Now, this one is going to be quite dangerous because we are going to need to fight multiple heavily armored special infantry for the insurrection. And in this area, there could be loner spawns as well as insurrection, I believe. So you may have to end up fighting both of them. Bring some armor pen ammo if you can. And we're going to head down because usually the enemy that we're looking for is further towards the end of this map. Now be careful if you go down too low because I believe there's bad gas at a certain point. We really just need to kill like one of them because I believe they all use the same Scorcher gun that we're looking for. And then once we do that, we can get out. Hello, Freelancer. Yep, there they are. Just being careful not to aggro any more than I need to. It looks like a lot of them are down here too. You may end up needing to go into this bad gas area just to, like, find them, because it feels like a lot of them spawn down here. That is a ridiculous amount of them, actually. Okay. Maybe take a grenade launcher if you feel like you would encounter a entire horde of them in one area. Why not? We'll just loot these because you can sell them at Mosby. But this is the weapon that you need, the Scorcher. Goodbye. I am loving this tactical FAMAS, by the way. It's a neat little gun. So, once we have that gun, we can just head out of here, and we are all done. For buried treasure, we need to head into the slums. In order to get there, usually I will go from either Crossroads or Black Lake into the depot here, and just keep following the railroad all the way to the west until we reach this area right here where we have this unnamed transition into the slums. Now, from this bridge up here, just to the left would be the blue house that we're looking for.
I'm going to check it out. Hold on. Hang tight. Secure the site.
Now we're looking for a couple of clues as to where the location of the buried treasure would be.
Clear the area.
I think I heard something.
Starting off with, at the very bottom, where we have the therapist's room. You can break into it using a crowbar or some lockpicks.
Clear this area.
And we have a few, I believe, directories here we can look at. I believe the one that we are looking for is Whitney's. He broke quick, but he ain't coughing up anything useful. Doesn't matter what we do to him, he just keeps screaming about some horse on a beach. Don't know what we should have expected. It's not like the broker is going to trust his secrets to some runner. He's a waste of time. I dumped his body in the canal.
I think I heard something.
So, he's gone, but gave some information about a horse on a beach. My god.
Enemy.
If we go back up the stairs, we can find this room here, which we can either crowbar open or lockpick. And if we look around a bit, we can find another journal, the Courier's Journal. Reading this will give us a little bit more information. Got another courier job for the broker. High value shipment coming in by boat. I meant to hold on to it for a spell before handing it over to Dock A. Insurrection has been making runs out there. Need to wait for my opening. Got my hands on the shipment. This is premium shit right here. Brooke would be very mad if it never got to him. I better find a good hiding place and lay low at my safe room in the blue house. It's funny how the loners use a wolf as their symbol. I guess it's supposed to have something to do with the old myth of lone wolves. It's ironic because real wolves famously live in packs, but then again, I never see any of these bastards actually travel alone. Some of the guys here found out who I've been working with. Was under the impression that wasn't going to be a problem, but maybe what they say about everyone having their price is true. It's a good thing I decided to bury the shipment someplace safe for now. A good hiding place too. Even if I'm forced to have a session with the therapist, they'll never find it. Just got to remember it's right between the legs. Now, if all of those vague hints weren't enough for you, we need to go over to the beach, which would be the Skeleton Coast. And probably the quickest way that we can get there would be by going through the floodplains here. This will allow us to actually grab a spade and then just head to the west and go south again. And then from here, we need to head over to the little graveyard, just in case you don't have a spade already. And it'll always be right here if you haven't grabbed it yet. And then from the beach, we are going to head all the way south. Almost as far south as we possibly can. Now here, hopefully you don't have counter sniper already going. Most of the threats that you'll face are either going to be dogs or NFTA. Let's not walk into all that. We'll just go back down onto the beach. So over here is the infamous horse. And of course, right between its legs would be our bag. Now, if we were to open this bag, right now we have 1,257 reputation and a dog. Opening it dropped us all the way down to 757 reputation. So quite a bit. And it gave us 2 random artifacts. An amber manifold's not bad. But it's going to be random every time. For Guerrilla Warfare, we're just going to go from the Crossroads north to this little road here, and it'll take us into Dead Bridge. The equipment that I'm going to bring is primarily going to be the SR-78 that we get from Counter Sniper, along with AP rounds for it, and then just any primary weapon that you enjoy. A grenade launcher is helpful here, but I'm not going to use it for this mission. And then the best armor that you can carry. Now, you could try to do this with stealth, although at the point in the game that you're doing this mission, you probably wouldn't have night vision. So the best method that you could do for that is probably going to be camouflage and staying in the darkness and using flares to light up your enemies. And using just a straightforward method, we want to bring lockpicks if we want to sneak into the base directly, but we don't necessarily need them. The reason why we would need a sniper to begin with is because of these turrets on the side, primarily. There's one here, and then there is one here. We're gonna just aim normally and see where that landed. Too high up, okay. Because of the changes to stealth, snipers are going to see you from much further away. Just gonna take out the rest of the snipers that we have here. So there's one tower there, one tower here on the right side. One sniper that spawns on the opposite side of the bridge here. One tower here. And I believe that's all of the watchtowers. The rest of the enemies that you're going to find are going to be just like this basic infantry walking around. And we are trying to get into this building up here. Now that's just a regular guard, or a more heavily equipped soldier, but the building that holds the commander should be this one up here typically, and he's going to be very lightly armored. So once we've taken out our targets with the sniper, we will go down here just briefly into the poison. Watch out for landmines like this one here. Now, if you didn't bring any lockpicks, we can go this way and try to disarm the landmines so that we can cross a little more carefully. You want to jump over and crouch jump. And even without high jump, you should have just enough room to crouch over the top of these wires. If you took lockpicks, you could go to the middle over here. Over that way, and there is a locked door you can open. And it will take you right into the middle over here. But usually that leads you just stranded in the middle, surrounded by military. And going this way kind of gets us out of the thick of it. Now, there are a couple of spots that alarms can go off. And once I'm done clearing the area up here, I'll go around and show you the different alarm areas in case you want to take that out with a sniper before you come in. But I like being dangerous. So there's the one here. And a guy coming out in the building right here.
Fall back!
Oh my goodness.
You are going down!
That's our target. Dressed in just light gear. Couple of armor lockers. This one always has military gear. This one always has above average gear, kind of endgame armor. So this one's a nice upgrade over the Hazop mask that we have. Up here, you can find the code to a artifact locker. Where is this guy running around? Where is he going? Okay, don't give me the ammo. Locker is here. There's always going to be a dead bridge keycard right here. Not so worried about all that. And you can take a look in these rooms if you want to. Nothing too fancy. There's these little hangers. We can use the dead bridge keycard to open and get into and loot the weapon chests. 5177 gives us that golden tesseract. And the next hanger, just more chests. This one seems to mostly have LAC guns, or like the M77s, pretty often. And then we may have more guys down here. The other alarm that can be set off is the one right here in the middle of the base. Once you have the Dead Bridge gate keycard, you can access the gate here that will take you into the northern half of the game. Alternatively, we have found that you can actually crouch jump up here, and up and over. Just in case you can't get the keycard for whatever reason. And then past here, take out these guys. And there will be a card right here, just in case you need an extra one. Triangulation is going to require a wrench, as well as at least 3 electronic scrap, and we're going to need to head into the northern zone. The route that I'm going to take is going to start off at the burrow, and it's going to take us into the hidden junction here. If you are doing this contract and you do not have hero reputation with the Revolution, then you can get into the north through either the Dead Bridge here, or through Dead End by going through Perdition. If you're having trouble finding electronic scrap, you can either make electronic scrap using computer boards, or alternatively, I'll show you a way to find them pretty consistently once we get into the northern zone. So for this route, starting from the burrow, we're going to go to the right here, and this iron door will be open for us. Heading down to the end, there's this little tram we can take. And just past it would be a weapon crate. Just interact with this, and it'll take us to the hidden junction. Here, there are plenty of revolutionary stalkers that you can trade with, as well as a shopkeeper that has so much ammo. But most importantly, it allows us safe passage into Greywater Marsh. And this will actually lead us right into the first radio tower that we're looking for. Just walk past the barricades and stay to the left. And we are looking for these towers. Equip your wrench, make sure you have electronic scrap, and just interact with the little boxes here that are beeping red. And it'll spend 1 scrap to fix a tower. If you're having trouble finding scrap electronics, you can try looking inside these generators using something like a crowbar or potentially lockpicks. You can break these open, and you'll find random electronic parts. Now, if we break open these generators with a crowbar, it's going to tell that you didn't actually open the lock, and it's going to set off this alarm. Next, we're going to head up to the intersection here, the road and the railroad, and go east into the stone maze. Once you've reached this point of the game, you need to be very careful for guys like that. We'll take him out. But most importantly, this is the point in the game where you can start to find loner stalkers that are much more heavily geared. Once we get into the stone maze, all of our revolutionary lab guard friends are going to die, tragically. And just next to this little shack here would be the next radio tower we need to repair. Interact with that one, and it'll spend a scrap, and it's fixed. Staying against the wall here, along the road, I'm just gonna run all the way to this area here. A new zone called Pine Ridge. So coming into the zone from the west, we landed about here. We want to hug the wall, out this path, and then into the east route here behind this wall. Let's see if we can find it. There we go. The Pine Ridge zone is mostly occupied by insurrectionists, and you could find either loner stalkers or these guys, they're post-human homunculus type creatures. Those guys are a little more heavily armored, so it's not quite ideal to fight all of them head on like that. We're just going to keep going along the path here. And look out for these little watch house type buildings. Just running up the trail past it here, we find another little monster. Hello, friend. Always waiting out for us. Further up, past this little camp here, would be the radio that we're looking for. Now, right here is usually going to be insurrection squads. The hell was that? And then right here would be the last box that we need to fix. In order to start Stone Maze readings, we need to go to Dr. Mosby's lab and talk to Dr. Mosby. Select I have some questions for you, and then choose what causes the anomalies in the zone. You'll talk about the ether drill. Ask about the ether drill. And then, is there any way I can help you get this data you need about the ether drill? And I'll go see what I can find. This will give you the contract to head into the north. Specifically, Stone Maze. For Stone Maze readings, we're going to be needing to head to the Stone Maze and find the research operations up in this little northwest section. So ideally, you would come from the Hidden Junction and go from Greywater Marsh to the east, and that will take you right there. But I'll be showing you a path that you can take from the Dead Bridge as well. Or if you take Perdition, it will start you right over here. You'll also need a data tape to get the readings. After clearing out the guards there, we can just keep hugging this path on the west side and just follow the curve all the way around. This area is going to be very dangerous for us, so try to avoid as many fights as you can if you're not prepared for it. Just hugging the left wall. We're still basically on this path, just off to the side of it. And this will take us from this road up to this little section here. The camp containing the maze readings. Past these dead guys. There's a little terminal here. Download your data, and you're good. Talk to him and ask some questions. And if you haven't first asked about the anomalies in the zone, ask him this first. And then the follow-up, the ether drill, why is everybody looking for it? And then lastly, the data for the ether drill. Then ask him about the equipment that he needs. He needs to run an experiment, but he needs a micro drill. So I'll see if I can track down a replacement drill head that will give you prototype drill. If you go to the broker, select Mind If I Ask You something, and tell him about your debt. Then say, where can I find these unique treasures of the zone? This will give you a journal entry, basically telling you that you can bring artifacts and things back to him, and he'll pay you for them. After that, it gives you this option here, I might have a lead on something. This gives you the option, I caught word that there might still be an operational ether drill prototype somewhere in the zone. And he's very much interested in it. If you tell him you can find the drill for him, he'll give you second bidder. And pay attention to this warning here. If you turn in the drill head to the broker, you will ruin your reputation with the Revolution. But he will pay off 2 million from your debt. For the prototype drill, we're going to head back to the Crossroads and into the cistern. But there's a couple things that we're going to need. First, a gas mask, preferably one that has some kind of light attachment to it. Some flares. And then decent weapons and healing. As well as our infrastructure records. We are going to head all the way to the end here, where we have this stairway that goes right down to the lab. Just keep going down until we reach the second floor. And we're looking for this room that has this little railway right here. Take a look at your records that you got from Spratt earlier. And we'll need the code 71038. Now, once we're inside, we are relatively safe. We just need to drop a flare and carry it. You can keep your light off because most of this area is just EMP'd. Hug the right wall, but watch out for these shades on the ground. Just sticking to the right side. And in this tunnel, be very careful not to step on these guys. There's going to be a little fork here. Go to the right again. And once we reach this part, this is going to be the door that we would open with our lab ED002 keycard that you get from RG East. But if you forgot it, Don't worry. There's some boxes right over here that somebody conveniently placed to conceal a little entryway for us. Can you move, please? Thank you. Now, right here, we've got some planks that you can remove with either a crowbar, a fire axe, or just simply shoot it down. This SR06 room is guarded by a wraith. Don't open that room. Make sure that we grab the copper wire that's right up here. Just keep that in mind. Here, if you look at the functions, we can open everything except for SR06. Now, this is the room that we need our gas mask equipped for. Just move this scrap out of the way and keep going down. Luckily, there's a spawn for a wrench right here. And in this room, we're going to use the wrench that we found and the copper wire that we found. Repair that to turn the generator back on. And here we can grab our drill. And then head back out. Now we're going to have summoned loners and Hesh. So be careful. On the way back out, you're going to have a fight. All of the EMPs will be gone once you've activated that generator. So you can just use a regular mounted light. But all the way at the entrance here, we have a nice, fresh loner squad looking for us. I like to use the tactic of turning off my light and throwing a flare at them so they get a little bit confused. It's harder for them to see me. But they love using their lights, and it makes it so much easier to see them. And there's usually just a few hanging back, all the way back here. Once you make it out, you can make a decision here. Either turn it back into the broker to pay off your debt, or most of it, or turn it back into Dr. Mosby for the next progression towards the main quest line for him. Alternatively, you could just hold on to it. The ether drill gives you ether affinity for the cost of weighing 10 kilograms. Once you have done the prototype drill and turn it in, you'll get this extra dialogue, and that will give you the next contract, reverse drill order. And at this point, you are at the end of the main quest line for Dr. Mosby. You can go ahead and go back and do any other quests that you've missed, but by now, you're pretty much done. That's it. And that is every contract that's available for the freelancers and the revolutionaries. If you made it to the end of the video, just go ahead and leave a comment saying thank you, Sparky Cola. They were my test subject for every single contract. And I want to thank you guys for sticking with me. We just recently hit 1,000 subscribers, which actually allows me to like get something back from the channel. And so far, I've still been having a lot of fun with making these Silverfish videos. So if you have any kind of comments or questions, or even like a suggestion for something, leave a comment below. I'll take a look at it. I read basically every comment that gets posted here. I also usually will try to play live on Twitch on Wednesdays, Sundays, anytime that I'm available really. But until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys.